Hi everyone. In this video, I'm gonna go through and acquire some COVID related data for all the countries across the globe, and then I'm going to try and merge that data but with some of the sort of macroeconomic statistics for each country, like the last quarter's GDP drop and the current unemployment rate at each country, to sort of see if we can find any relations between the cases and their country's responses and basically the economic impact that the virus has had on the each country's economics. I'm gonna use Bloomberg's terminal to acquire this data. So obviously, to do this, we first log into our terminal. Now I have mine up here, and I am looking to first acquire the COVID-related data. If my computer, there we go. So to do that, we're going to use the CVID function here, and we're going to click on it first. And this will take us into like a bunch of charts showing each country's statistics after the beginning of 2020. But since we want the actual data, and we're not going to use the charts here, we're going to click on the worksheets here, COVID-19 worksheets, and the country statistics. Now, while we wait a little, we see that like it is providing us with the updated latest count, the increase or decrease since last day, and sort of the COVID cases per capita, or like the percentage of the population that were diagnosed and confirmed with COVID-19. And we have all this good data here. Now, to use this data, we kind of want to get it to an Excel because that will be a lot easier to work with. So to do that, we're going to click on this option here, and there's an export option, and I want my data in a format of Excel. So once we click this, this should start generating us with a Excel sheet containing this data. Okay, it's gonna take a minute, apparently. There we go. This remote access it gets slow sometimes, so it is what it is. During the pandemic, there are no labs right now. So this is the data that we want, but if you scroll down here, and I think after the first set of countries, these are basically the death tolls, and we're not really looking for that in this particular task. So I am going to basically delete all the rest of the rows, because what I'm looking for here is the total confirmed cases and the basically the per capita thing. So I'm gonna delete this row too, as it serves no purpose, and the ticker thing we don't need again. And we want this to be sort of country by country, so I don't need the global stats here, so I'm gonna delete this as well. And then I'm gonna move all the data here to my own Excel sheet, because this Bloomberg's sort of Excel output is a little bit laggy. I don't really like to work with it, it gets slow. So I have an Excel sheet open here for myself, and I'm just gonna paste these in the a regular formatting. So good. Now I have all the COVID data that I want basically, and then some. So I'm just gonna delete whatever I don't need here. And to make it easy, I'm just gonna convert this to a table so I can sort it and stuff. Okay, so it did not recognize my columns apparently. There we go. Delete this as well. So what I want for this particular task, obviously all of these are useful data, but I only want the percentage of the population and the total count as of September 1st, 2020. All right, so I have a list of all the countries in the world. Obviously, you can see we have some gaps in our data points. Like for Afghanistan, we don't really have the percentage of the population, and that happens whenever you're working with large data sets. It's normal. So now that we have all the COVID stuff, let's try and get our sort of macroeconomic statistics that we were looking for. I'm first going to close these Excel sheets because it slows down the terminal and I don't really have any use for it anymore. There we go, come on. Okay, there we go. So now we have those, and let's sort of go and look into the world's economic stats in the recent months. And to do that, I'm gonna type in the ECST function here, which is Word Economic Statistics. We get a bunch of stuff here, and you can sort of, in this segment of it, you can choose the country, and you can see all the basically all the national stats that you're gonna need from labor, CPIs, interest rates, all of them. But since we're not looking at countries individually here, I am going to go to custom views, and this custom view provides me with some good stats that I can actually, map on my list of COVID cases in each country. We have a global GDP quarter percentage changes, and we also have a here an unemployment rate, and these are the two things that we're going to use in our data. Obviously, if you want, you can go for any of these stats as well, the global ones at least, to map it on our current data. So I'm gonna choose this here, and this sort of gives me the latest quarters in terms of like changes from one quarter to another, and it shows me the percentages. Obviously, most countries have had a hit in their GDP, and the last quarter was basically the worst of them generally. And we're looking for this column basically. So to do that, you can see here there's a 90 go to export. We're gonna export this in a format of Excel as well. And this is what we sort of end up with. And like I said before, I don't really need the divisions and the sort of the continents, the like EU zones, G10. We don't need all of that. We're only looking for individual countries in this sort of case study. So I am going to remove all of the sort of, whether it would be continents or economic zones and all that. We're going to delete all of them so that they would not mess up our data. See, we have these two here too, and I guess we should be good. All right. So then again, I am gonna copy this GDP data to my own Excel sheet because this is very laggy. The sort of the Excel that opens up for Bloomberg's terminal, and I'm gonna call this sheet GDP, and I am going to paste this here, right? Okay, so we have all the sort of GDP data that we're going to need here. Now I'm going to do the same thing basically for unemployment. There we go. Here we can see the unemployment rates, and we're basically going to do the same thing and export it to an Excel sheet. Great. So we can see that here, like our latest unemployment rates are July and June basically. But we can see since we're running this on all the countries from across the globe, we kind of wanted to get the month that will have the most input. We can see that like some of the countries is they have not announced their latest July unemployment rate, so we're probably going to stick with this one for the sense of comparison. Um, Again, we're not going to need these. We're only looking for the latest, basically, unemployment rate. And like I said before, we're not looking for continents, economic regions. We're looking for individual countries. So we're going to delete all these separators that we have. We have 2 European zones here as well. And got the Eastern Europe here, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. Okay. Alright. So at this point we have all the employment data that we're gonna need for this particular task, and I'm gonna copy this to my own Excel sheet because it will be faster. All right. Okay, so now we're done with anything that we were gonna get from Bloomberg. Now we have all that we need, and the next thing that I'm gonna do here is try and map this data, create 2 columns as GDP change last Q and latest unemployment rates, right? So I'm gonna try and read these off the data that I have in the other sheets. So to make this easier, first of all, we're only looking for the sort of the second quarter of 2020. So we're not really going to need the rest of it. And let's put a name on this. And 2 things we got to change in both of these data sets, and that generally happens to be the case whenever we're trying to map something off US or United Kingdom, that they put it differently. They don't have the same pointer names in data sets, so we're just gonna put United States here, and we're going to do the same for UK, which is named Britain in this particular case, I believe. Where is our UK? There we go. Here's UK. We're gonna name this United Kingdom. And same thing here. States. And again, we're not gonna need the July. We're gonna focus on the June. So let's delete that. Get it out of the way. Convert that to tables so we can sort it and find UK. There we go. United Kingdom. All right. A couple of other things that we should probably do here. First of all, let's remove all the stuff that that are not offering us anything. Like let's sort it, small it, larger, and select all of it so we can delete it off the bottom. There we go. So we see that we only have basically how many, like 48 employment stats here, so that's all we have. And let me close these as well. Okay. Alright. I'm sorry, I was closing the Bloomberg Excel sheets that were slowing me down a bit. All right, so we have this now, and we sort of want to convert this into a percentage, since these are like percentage values. Unemployment, employment. All right, so let's do this. Divided by 100. There we go. We have this. Let's convert it into a percentage. Give it a couple of more decimals, and we're gonna copy and paste the value on this, so we end up with a sort of a percentage thing. Okay, cool. So our unemployment data is ready. I'm gonna do the same for the GDP data that we have here. So first thing, let's convert this into a percentage, because that's what it is. We're gonna do the same thing, divided by 100. Go down, copy and paste value here. We're gonna delete this and convert this into a percentage. Give it a couple more decimals, and that's about it. And let's also delete the sort of empty cells here from our. We see that we only have the GDP in the second quarter for only 2 countries, so we are going to use those. All right, so now that we have our basically GDP, and let's call this unemployment sorted here, and this is our COVID thing. One other thing that we should do here is probably make the formatting of the country names the same, so it wouldn't, it could detect it automatically. So I'm gonna just use this function called proper, I think. There we go. Yeah, and this basically capitalizes only the first letter. So in case you want to chart it and stuff, like it will look better if only the first letter is capitalized. So I'm gonna copy this like I did before and paste value this here. There we go. All right, and let's take a quick look at our data. Okay, there's one thing that we're missing here. Like I said, always be careful of UK and US, because they would put different names on them. So as we can see, it's Britain in here. So we want to Kingdom. There we go. All right. Let's sort this A to Z. All right. So GDP change. For this segment, we're going to use a function called XLOOKUP. It's really useful when we're trying to look up values on a different table. Basically, our lookup value would be the region's name, and our lookup array will be basically the region thing on the GDP sheet that we have, and we wanted to match that sort of the GDP changes and return that for the same country. So this is all we need to do, and it's giving us what we need, right? Great. So if we want, we can sort of make this into a percentage as well. Alright, we're going to do the same thing for the unemployment rate. We're going to use XLOOKUP. We're looking for the country's name in another sheet, and our lookup array is this one. And we wanted to return the June's unemployment rate for that country, basically. Alright, we can again, change this into a percentage. And our data set is ready, basically. This is all we're going to do. In the next video, I'm going to go through how we can use Tableau to sort of make a decent plot and gain some insights with the data set that we just made. And if you like, you can go through that one as well. Thank you.